So Galan is the apocalypse of the cosmic class. But Galan's equally insane as a solo-based champion, especially from how he takes on auto block, miss champions, and does a lot of damage at the same time. The biggest that's going through the community at the moment is this right here, which is the Cosmic Seed Herald activated, or sorry, Cosmic... The biggest thing that's causing a stir at the moment is this Cosmic Seed Herald, similar to the way you can activate something with a Horseman in order to make mutant champions really good. And look, this is pretty like amazing to be like reduce potency of power burn effects, gain resistance to damaging debuffs, and perform unblockable special attacks as they win fights. So you create a Herald the same way you create a Horseman. I don't know if it's going to have exactly the same impact as a lot of like mutant-based champions have with the Horseman synergy, but it's definitely going to be adding an extra kind of like element to go, okay, we'll give you some extra resistance. And you know, with the likes of Hercules and so many other types of champions that have some element of resistance to them from debuff effects, it's going to add a little bit more to them. But going unblockable very early on, or kind of like allowing unblockable to be a thing with special attacks, can go a long way for cosmic champions and unlock some more interesting ones, like Red Goblin, for example, that not a lot of players will use, but still will use, and but they'll add, you know, from a persistent standpoint, like a very spicy, very extensive, like aggressive play to a champion that's going to produce a lot of damage and be practically unblockable. Like any cosmic champion, Galan's all about building loads of buffs, has loads of buffs, goes a bit further and beyond because the champion does a lot of direct damage. And also, as we said, interacts with things with suppressing, as in true sense. So dealing with champions that auto block and as well would miss. So it really shuts down a lot of the tech line, which has a lot of those abilities as key. One of the key reasons a lot of people are raving about Galan is like his just interaction abilities, like immunity to Fate Seal and Nullify effects. I think there's only like one other cosmic champion that does that. So I could be wrong with that. It could be like another class, but Fate Seal and Nullify immunity, man. I think pretty certain in other classes, like I think there's a science class one that does that, but that's pretty mega. The Galan's power and grants power immunity to power drain, burn, lock, and special lock. So basically, it's kind of like it rules out Doctor Doom as a kind of a logical counter to this. That ain't nice. First light and second medium attack strike with the planetary side of the staff of Tar, granting Galan 1 indefinite resist physical buff. There's a lot of things here. The building energy resistance buff, physical resistance buff. I gotta be honest, I'm trying to think of like certain champions that might want to interact with this, and I'm already thinking like, is an SP3 Magic going to be a good counter for here? Is it going to be SP2 of Morningstar? There's a lot of things that I want to kind of try out as counters to this. It's already got me thinking about it, but definitely the kind of dealing with the Fate Seal and nullify immunity. That's some pretty unique stuff, and that's going to be nice, especially when you want to interact with other champions and using it as a counter against others. The rotation of the champion is very interesting. So you kind of build up your masses, your planetary masses, up quite a lot when you're kind of and your special attacks as well. So you do like an SP2 overbuild, so you're close to an SP1, and then what you do is like as soon as you fired off the SP1 and got close to that harvest point, you get the intensified buffs, and then you kind of like throw another SP2 down the line once you kind of get close to like the 999 mark, and it's like there you're ready for kind of like the harvest. And then it's just a case of throwing the SP2 whilst you got some fury buffs up to get the 9 incinerates and literally just melt the enemy into some burst damage of nearly 200k. I mean, that works nicely. Definitely a case, I think Galen's a little bit more simple to play than Quicksilver, but they're equally, you know, interesting and simple to play, which is nice. And I think they're very much exciting the community, as you said earlier. It does seem that this is another champion that doesn't look like it's suicide friendly to a degree. I mean, if you're rotating around SP3s or maybe rotating around SP2s and can fire off, I don't know, regeneration, it could mean that it mitigates the damage that you would lose from recoil. But it looks like the Cosmic Seed Heralds, or the Cosmic Seed, whatever you want to call it, does help out a lot. The own in particular ability, the Cosmic Seed or the solar intensity that you get on Galon is kind of like, yeah, that's important. It's certainly nice to know that you got some particular interactional stuff for having true sense to bypass miss and auto block. and that's pretty much it, apart from at the start of the fight, 1 indefinite intensity passive for each solar intensity, each increasing the potency of all future buffs by 20%. If the solar intensity goes with some of the other types of abilities the champion has, like activating those 8 intensity buffs, which, you know, increase the new buff 5%. That means you kind of interact with the solar intensity, with the SP2 intensified buffs, with the SP1 rotation of the Fury buffs, means that big damage hopefully is going to be the case, and that's something that would be really fun to experiment around with if I get the champion in the featured 6-star crystals in November. But, you know, I'll be interested to kind of like maybe play about on a CCP server to kind of see if this is, you know, something of an option down the line. His signature ability doesn't seem to add much, but does. I mean, look, from an interactional standpoint, if he's going up against non-Mystic champions and there's some immunity to Power Drain, Power Burn, Power Lock, Special Lock, to name but a few, it does mean that he's able to get indefinite physical resistance and energy resistance buffs. But also, I'd say this is the most interesting part of the signature ability, is while the Harvest is active, Galon becomes stun immune and deals a burst of 102.55 direct damage whenever Galon gains an amount of planetary mass. So you could look to like build your planetary mass as much as possible whilst being, you know, stun immune, which is going to be a thing. So, you know, when something would trigger a parry or a stun, so to speak, you can like see yourself aggressively doing some sort of like damage and getting some like resistances to first right off the bat. But it's only really interesting when you're looking to get stun, and this is handy for things like encroaching stun, you know, to kind of like build up quite nicely and reflect something back. It's not going to be super massive damage, but it depends on the extent of planetary mass that you're going to be building up to harvest points. So I don't know. It's something. I just don't think it's going to be everything, which is good because many people may not want to kind of like awaken these champions, but depending on the extent of prestige, and you would kind of hope that this champion will be like a top prestige based champion when it's released. I mean, it's saying that it's PI max, was it like 13,720, which funny enough, I'm a bit surprised that the Quicksilver is based on rank 345, 13,990. So it is what was that, less? And especially if you kind of look at the prestige calculator, the prestige as it is, it's actually going to be like Quicksilver is going to be the second, Galon is going to be, god damn, that's kind of like, well, I don't know. I'm surprised at that, especially from like what this character is meant to be within the MCOC universe. How very strange. I don't know. Thoughts in the comment section about that one. There definitely seems like there's a lot more things intricacy-wise to Galon I want to explore, especially when it comes to like the regeneration side of things and how that would help out certain situations. Like if you're down on the extent of health that you have, as it says here, that while the Harvest is active, Galon gains Unstoppable buff and regeneration buff, healing 68.89 health per second. Now, if that is for 14 seconds, that does seem that that's pretty pathetic. But then that's where other things come in when it comes to the intensified buffs, and that increases potency of all buffs by 5%. But there also is another mention of the intensity of these particular buffs increasing. I think it's with the, there it is, with the solar intensity. So the further you go into the fight, the more that you could potentially have, you know, future buffs by 20% potency increase there. So there could be more. So it's like saying adding an extra 25%, or say it's, first of all, sorry, it's the 20% amplification of that 68, and then it's going to be 5% intensity of then any future buff. So it's like, well, no, it could be a case like it could be a flat 25%. I don't know with that. Either way, it could be better. I mean, just to give you like a quick example, that health could see a 25% increase. This is probably not the case, but I'm just giving you an example. 964 goes up to 1,205. Again, that could be the worst case scenario, but there could be a best case scenario where it's a lot more than that. It's just a case of like trying to work out the sums from it, especially when you're trying to put percentage on top of percentage on flatline ability. So there's a lot. There could be a lot more to this than meets the eye. Way, I just want to point out this champion has a lot of amazing abilities to it. Whether or not you want to play this champion to get true sense and have that solar intensity for yourself as your persistent, you know, fight by fight, or secondly, you want to play this champion to be the Herald Unlocker to improve the cosmic line. For me personally, I love the burst damage, and that is probably the main thing that interests me. The interaction with Fate Seal and nullification and how that can allow you to be immune to it can be really helpful to, again, keep up your intensity. And also I like the way that the champion rotates. I like that idea of going, okay, let's build past an SP2 close to an SP3 and have all that planetary mass, fire off that SP2, straight after fire off that SP1, build and build and build to another SP2, fire off the SP2, do great amount of damage as you go into the harvest mode, and boom, it's game over. I love that kind of element of rotation. It's good, it's fun, it's aggressive, and it will kind of like put this champion up there for me. Yeah, so I'm going to be really looking forward to the 6-star featured of this when it drops in November. And yeah, there's some other things that champion does do to the like synergies and other champions. I definitely see interest when it comes to like Cosmic Ghost Rider. There's also something with Red Goblin, if Red Goblin goes into being a Herald. There's Terex. There's a whole host of champions that get unlocked from an ability standpoint that looks incredibly fun. And yeah, I just put it down to you. What are your thoughts in the comment section? Are you looking forward to this champion? And make sure to go and check out the champion information on the Spotlight, which you know, you can find on the forums. And finally, thank you very much for watching this video and supporting the channel. And I will see you in the next video, whenever that will be. And it could be something tomorrow as we get ready for the next update. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.